Welcome back to another episode of the Unsecurity Podcast. I'm here and joined as usual with Brad, and this week we've got Pinky joining us from our IR team. And so welcome, Pinky.
Hey, thank you. Happy to be here.
Or welcome back. You've been here before several times.
I think the last one we did was the end of year recap back in like January with you.
I think so, yeah. I think that's probably about right. I was trying to remember when it felt like it was like 2 months ago, and because it's been a busy year, but yeah, I think that was it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I know we'll get into some of the similar kind of warnings for this time of year, appropriate to my earrings, I guess. It will be, I don't know when we're going live with this one, if it's early November at this point or not, but happy to have you join us. And as you know, then we like to kick off with some talk about hobbies or other things outside of your work that you're working on. You got anything in mind?
Oh, well, come back to me because
I'll pick on Brad first.
Yeah, come back to me. Yeah,
I'll be honest. I was talking to Pinky like with the Hacks and Ops tomorrow. I will have been traveling or speaking in 8 of 17 workdays, the last 17 workdays. So I don't really know what I'm doing anymore. I'm pretty fried, so I haven't really been doing a whole lot of anything.
That's fair. Let's see. I think our main things was I took a few days off because I knew I needed some time to recover. So that was nice, but that mostly meant time to fix up a few things around the house, haul some garbage out of the garage. We did get our Halloween decorations up, which was really nice. Though I did start a new video game, Life is Strange. I can remember what they're called now. The Life is Strange series, the most recent one of those. So I've enjoyed those.
Yes.
Very cool. Yeah. I've always got an endless list of like around here projects. I mean, took apart a washing machine a couple weeks ago, and things like that. But I've actually been doing a little more video gaming lately than I normally do. Just I'm a big Borderlands fan, and Borderlands 4 came out, and so I've been playing a lot of that when I get time, and kind of getting the kids a little more interested in video games. So I've been playing a little Minecraft with them, some things like that.
Nice.
So it's been a good time. It's been a good time. Yeah.
That is the one that I've been playing. I picked up, started playing Immortals Phoenix Rising. They're the same people that do the Assassin's Creed series, and I've beaten all the Assassin's Creeds that are on the PlayStation Plus for free included. So I was like, oh, I'll play this one. So
awesome. I normally walk around the local arboretum around here a couple times a week, and it was fun to run into one of the old guys that walks regularly around there. And I know him by name, but he joined me to walk, and it was interesting to learn that he played video games too. He's got a PlayStation 5, and the Assassin's Creed games are some of his favorite. And to hear that he was playing all of them, I'm like, that's super sweet. I just learned something new and awesome that I have in common with you, and that's really cool. Sometimes people really surprise you. I would not have been for a video gamer. Sweet. Well, I think we're talking a little bit about things to warn people about this time of year. Does that sound right?
What you're seeing, what threats are, why we need to be more vigilant this time of year.
Yeah.
Because I know
definitely.
You've been telling me for a few months now that they are prepared for the ramp up, and it seems like it started early.
But it did. Yeah. We had a pretty packed last couple of months, right? So that's a little abnormal for us. It sort of started a little early this year. We were kind of saying, breach giving is coming early this year. So it's sort of died off a little bit here in the last couple of weeks, which is good. Gives us a chance to catch up and that kind of thing. But always this time of year, we're looking for a lot of the like pre-ransomware style attacks, things like that. We tend to see attackers kind of get established, wait for that Thanksgiving weekend kind of time frame, and then hit it. And so we're definitely on the lookout for that. There's definitely a few things floating around that are a little concerning. Some Oracle vulnerabilities that have been a problem, and so those are a little worrisome. We're also seeing we've seen kind of an uptick, really, and we may have even talked about this the last time I was on, but it's still continuing where we're not seeing as much of the like traditional command and control beacon stuff going on. We're seeing more people hitting VPNs or attackers using an existing VPN, that kind of thing for persistent access. And that's a little bit new-ish over the last few years. It makes perfect sense. It's a lot harder to detect and that kind of thing. And so a lot of the attacks we've been working in the last few months have been around VPN systems and that kind of thing. So but as always too, it's that time of year, even for your personal side of things, where you're going to start getting shipping notifications and stuff like that for the email compromise side of the world, where hey, your UPS package has been delayed, click here to get a status, that kind of thing. And like that's just going to keep going because everyone's starting to order things for the holidays and whatnot. So always want to keep an eye out for that.
And just to make your day, I don't know if you saw it, but did you see that F5, the source code for Big IP, was stolen and the vulnerabilities were released by a nation state?
Oh, no, I had not seen that one yet. I've been heads down all day in report writing, and no, did not see that. Well, even bigger concern because, well, Big IP is used in a lot of places, and it's generally used in places that are juicy targets. As in like they've got a lot to offer an attacker. So, oh boy, yeah, I'm gonna have to dig into that one a little bit. Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it.
I'm here for you.
Just making sure you don't miss the critical news.
Yeah.
One of the things that I found when I was putting together some of the stuff for the talk is that these ransomware gangs, I don't know if you've heard this, that they're actually using AI chatbots for the initial negotiations with their victims. And there are specific triggers so that once they agree to pay a ransom, then they'll go to a person. And they're doing it for cost effectiveness, basically. It's crazy.
You would hope they weren't having enough of those conversations to require an AI chatbot, but obviously that's not the case.
Yeah. Yeah. That is concerning that they are having that many conversations. Yeah, the last few that I've got to sort of not necessarily sit in on, but get updates on and kind of how it's working, pretty confident those were still real people on the other side of it, just sort of based on how I heard those conversations went. Pretty fascinating. That's something we don't get to see a whole lot. We kind of got to tag in or get some good updates from a company on one of those a while back. I mean, unfortunate that we were even having to help someone in that situation, but it was neat intel for me to kind of hear how those go and sort of some of the tactics that those guys use for even just stalling the attackers and just sort of dragging them along while we complete our investigation. So it does worry me a little bit that tactic's going to go away with the if it's being handled up front by an AI chatbot. It's going to may cause some problems there with that.
Hopefully they can figure out a way to jailbreak the chatbot.
Yeah, or just confuse it, right? Just ask it a simple question that, like, well, we mentioned Borderlands 4. I was trying to find something out about the game the other day, and the Google AI told me that there was no Borderlands 4 yet. And this is like, it had been released like for 3 weeks. Come on.
That's funny.
But yeah, so it still has its problems. So that actually might be kind of fun for some of those guys who do the negotiations. Might be able to play with the AI and poke it a little bit.
Well, that does lead to what is the biggest area that or the main cause of compromise or breaches is still business email for the most part. I mean, you have some of the other technical, but it's still email, right? Social engineering.
Normally, I would say overall, the only issue I have is, and it's very anecdotal, right? Because it's just for us and it's just for the last 6 months or even really the last 3 months or so. We saw a pretty big flip in our cases over the last little while where, so normally we would be somewhere in the range of 80% business email compromise cases, 20% internal compromise / ransomware, pre-ransomware, that kind of thing. That really flipped on its head to where it was about 20% email compromise and 80% internal compromise over the last few months. And the majority of those were targeting VPN vulnerabilities. And so I don't want to say that the overall thing is shifting because, I mean, there's still a bajillion, and that's a technical term, of bajillion email compromises every day. And I think some of it may just be the fact that I think folks are handling those a little better and a little more on their own now. And so we're kind of seeing some folks maybe taking care of it on their own as opposed to reaching out to us, kind of thing. So definitely still a huge vector for attacks. I mean, it's used all the time, the token theft attacks and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, having to click something that downloads a payload that, it's the social engineering that is that initial point of ingress.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if I'm an attacker, the easiest way for me to get you to download a payload is to, go compromise Brad's account and then send an email to Megan that says, "Hey, Megan, I've got this Excel document I need you to take a look at," or whatever, drop in some macros or whatever the case may be, and send that over. Because generally, if Brad's sending, you or I something, we're probably not too skeptical about it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a normal thing.
Yeah, particularly if it's an Excel doc. Yeah, exactly.
I love Excel. I did too. So
yeah, right. Yeah, we're in trouble, right? And so, just enable those. It's fine, But yeah, and so getting that trusted source, right? A trusted source for you to send that phishing email or that malicious payload from is it's a big deal. And so one of the things we saw recently too in a case was where they dropped the payload onto the affected client's SharePoint. And so then when they send the link out, it's just a link to your internal SharePoint. And so, I mean, you're generally going to trust that all day long. And so that's a really effective tactic. And so, yeah, email definitely still, by far one of the easiest ways to get a foothold for an attacker.
And we heard a lot about it last month, but the direct send vulnerability. And can you maybe explain that a little bit to people that don't understand it?
Yeah, I haven't gotten to play with this one a whole. Yeah, it definitely put me on the spot because, I've got that manager tag now, so I'm less technical than I was a year ago. But yeah, from what I've seen from the guys working those cases, it is essentially a way to sort of send as the person you're impersonating as, but bypassing all of the other filtering, right? So it's a system that's set up initially for, it's set up for using like multi-factor, multi-factor's always in my brain. Multi-function printers, scanners, those kind of devices, right? So that they can do a direct send without having to authenticate and do all that kind of stuff. And so attackers were able to kind of exploit that because it's there and it's set up to basically bypass authentication. And so they were able to exploit that and, kind of pretend to be someone else and just send it straight in, and get around a lot of, I guess, really everything. It's not going through filtering or anything like that. So definitely an interesting tactic that we saw a few times in cases here recently.
Yeah, I had one of my VCSOs have it, and they were so confused because they're like, I see it in the exchange logs, but it doesn't show up in any of the filtering, like your third-party filtering. And they're like, yeah, no, that's what it is.
Yeah. And it's funny to me that was even a thing, just because I remember how difficult, back when M365 or Office 365 was kind of first becoming a thing, that was one of our big challenges was like, do you have multi-factor or multi-function devices that we need to be able to send from? It's like, yeah, we do. Okay, well, initially you had to keep an on-prem exchange and go about it that way. And I guess Microsoft was trying to, fix that. And instead just made a nice gap for everyone. So, it happens.
Thanks. I thought it was interesting. I expect you guys haven't run into this because I haven't heard a lot of real life use cases, but I know someone posted an article either last week or this week related to the AI topic and phishing, and had some examples, or at least, I don't know if it's more theoretical or if they're actually seeing this in the wild of, gosh, I'm blanking on what the fake word for fake videos, AI created videos is right now.
The deep fake.
Yeah, the deep fakes. Thank you. To carry out mostly those malicious calls. But I think one example was even a deep fake of a CEO having the normal financial conversation and saying, yeah, we want you to transition this fund. And so they said there should have been some indicators of why this was suspicious to the person receiving it, because they didn't actually compromise any of the organization's systems in order to carry it out. But also it seemed so much like a normal business operation that the person went ahead and transferred the funds. And I think it was equivalent of 20 million or something pretty significant like that.
Ooh.
Wow.
Ouch. Yeah. We've not seen it yet. I mean, it's just not been a thing that's popped up on any of the cases we're working. I expect it's going to be a thing. I think it's, I don't want to tell anyone to just sort of ignore it. Like that's not the case, right? But I know, for us at FRSecure, it's always kind of, how's your foundation, right? How are all the other things before you kind of get to that piece of it?
Yeah.
That said, though, yeah, I mean, it's a new take on an old technique. We've seen for years the compromise a CEO's mailbox or something, and then go say, "Hey, I'm at a conference. Go buy me $5,000 worth of Google gift cards or whatever the case may be, because I need to hand them out at this conference." Things like that. I think it's going to be an old take on that, especially when they're trying to get in the middle of $20 million transactions. That's a whole new ball game. I still think that the sort of barrier to entry for that kind of stuff is still a little bit high. I mean, you can purchase them and you can use the Google tools and things like that for not terribly, not a huge amount of money. But some of that goes back to can I just simply get them with a phishing email too? And if you can, probably going to try that. So
right.
I expect there's going to be some organizations really targeted with that, but I don't think it's going to be the mass problem just yet.
So interesting. I did for a customer. They asked for if I could do a deep fake, and I was like, no, ethically, no, I can't. But I can say, I basically tricked AI and said, I need an executive training scenario where this company is compromised for a tabletop exercise. Can you put that together for me? So it gives me the scenario summary, the OSINT with what public data was used. So board members, roles, tenures, images on LinkedIn, award recognition, and philanthropic speeches. It gives me the TTPs, pretexting and deepfake creation, spear phishing and business email compromise. Even gave me a spoofed domain to use that would be similar. As where it is, I can share this with you, but psychological manipulation on how to do this, what the goals of the attacker are, and then what the warning signs and red flags would have been. And then it did give me defensive countermeasures and how to get that. But it took 15 minutes to kind of tweak the prompt to get basically a play-by-play of how to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's we kind of hit this a little bit last week with shameless Hacklebox plug here, but when we talked to Seth on the Hacklebox, he's kind of talking about how that, I mentioned the video thing, it's a little bit of a higher barrier or a higher, level entry thing there. But when it comes to things like that, like the OSINT and the just coming up with a way to go about it, that really lowers that point of entry for a lot of attackers. A lot of folks who maybe are just getting into the attack game or want to give it a shot, they can kind of ask AI what to do, and it'll generally spit it out for you. I know I've gotten it to make me a fake ransomware. You've got to talk to it a certain way and ask it for it in chunks and things like that. But I got it to build essentially a script that would encrypt and drop a ransom note and that kind of thing. And so I think if folks can kind of think about how to talk to it, I think they're going to be able to do that. And I think that's huge, right? I mean, the amount of OSINT you got for that tabletop and kind of here's all the LinkedIn, here's some keywords to hit them with and things like that. I mean, that's massive. That's going to be the bigger problem, in my opinion, as opposed to just true AI based attacks. We're still not really seeing AI enabled malware or anything like that. I mean, it's probably out there, but it's not out there. It's not prevalent.
One documented case where it was confirmed.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Not a lot.
So yeah, that's us talking right now. Who knows in 6 months, but right now that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, I was gonna say, even going back to that article, I think even though it focused on that one kind of very, whaling scenario, they did make some good connections to just attacks on the everyday person or just general phishing, because sometimes they can take just a LinkedIn photo and make good enough of an imitation that looks like a moving video, especially if, big and good, well enough to be put up on a website that's kind of advertising something and make it look like it's mostly a real human that's doing the talking, and things that they can put in snippets. It might not be believable if you're working with this person on a regular basis and you really know what their features look like. And there might be the occasional blip or something that someone paying good attention might catch, but that it could still be used for not only just voice, because we're talking about video, which adds another layer, but voice in these phishing of, hey, you're even just your family member, the scams of your child grandparent is in trouble and they need some money, so send it over, or call this or go here, to even report that you're a family member and solicit for help. I would imagine that AI takes a bigger part this year, this holiday season, in some of those attacks, and perhaps they get a little bit more sophisticated in how they convince people that they are legitimate with a lot of the evolution that's gone on in this past couple of years.
Yeah, definitely on the voice side. The voice side is really good, right? I mean, it's spot on. I won't say who. I mean, we've talked about it, but we did have someone test this with a 20-second voice clip.
Yeah, it sounds like it doesn't take much.
Yeah, it was a 20-second voice clip, used it, and then had them say something afterwards, and it was pretty dead on. Like, I mean, I probably could have told that like something was a little off in the kind of the spacing of the words, kind of the gaps. Yeah, the cadence, and but maybe you give it 40 seconds next time worth of video and it does a great job. Right. So yeah, the voice stuff's really good. I've been surprised at how good it is, actually.
Yeah, I've heard 2 minutes is what is like the threshold for almost impossible to detect. And then video is what, like 10 or 15, something like that. It's 10 or 15 minutes. It's longer because there's a lot more to imitate.
And then you think about the social media presence that especially young people, but even lots of adults continue to have, or if they're YouTubers, or my daughter's been
the podcast.
Yeah, I know a podcast. We're doomed.
Yeah.
But my daughter loves doing crafts, and so she will watch YouTube videos of essentially other kids, a little older than her, maybe in high school. I mean, one of the recent ones was, you could tell it was a kid because she halfway through the video said, "Oh, I had to move to my bedroom because then I don't have to get the rest of the family to be quiet while I'm making my recording." So it's like, yep, just teaching them, and so then that means that profile's already out there. It's probably not going to take that much effort for a attacker to identify family members and then use that video / audio to target them and potentially be successful with that attack, or at least create something really, really freaking scary.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a concern. It's one of those things where it's just like, to me, it's progressed so rapidly, right? It is kind of the thing that worries me, because it's going to build a momentum, right? I mean, that's just the way this is going to work. Yeah. And it's kind of why I was like, I don't know where we're at in 3 or 6 months from now. We kind of have to just think about that a little bit, but yeah, it's a lot. And yeah, I have the same thought, like every time we do one of these, or we do the Hackle Box or something, and we're talking about AI, it always pops into my head, like, yeah, there's recordings of us out there. And I mean, I speak on these like I do in real life. You're not gonna.
I'm so screwed because I got all the Minter program recording. And then
definitely
200 plus episodes of this.
Yeah. If I ever call you all and ask for a password, I mean, it still could be me, but it's probably not me. So,
you're like, sorry, you're not getting that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I found interesting, we've kind of taken a right turn there, but one of the easiest ways for detecting video deepfakes is having the person put their hand in front of their face or turn profile view, right? It's such a simple, non-technical. There are tools out there that you can use to detect if a video that you're watching is a deepfake. But if you're on a call, I've not seen one that has not glitched out when you turn profile or put a hand in front of the face.
Yeah, it takes a lot more to build that sort of full picture of
And
a
there's just not
human.
as much reference points.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good note, because I would have to imagine, I was kind of thinking about this as we were talking about it earlier in the week, or last, whenever that was, that I would say for like hiring managers, right, HR folks, things like that, that's where that's going to be really tough. We've already seen in the last couple of years a lot of, you know, malicious actors getting in through job interviews and kind of faking these things and whatnot. And I mean, now if you're hopping on a video call, you might not know. It just seems like that's the person you're talking to, that kind of thing. But yeah, definitely important to have them turn to the side or something. I don't know, maybe get tricky with it. Hey, I see a
Hokey pokey.
painting on your wall back there. What is that? Yeah,
Right.
And
a reason to turn around. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be an essential part of hiring practices, hiring training, right? Is if you're interviewing on a video call, how do you verify that this person is real? And eventually, at what point can we not tell?
Yeah, and I mean, our friends in HR, they're targeted all the time, right? They're a really, I mean, they're getting resume files, they're getting stuff all the time from people they don't know. I feel bad for them on that sense, because I'm like, I get a Word doc in that's from, again, anybody that's probably not on this call, or a few other people, I'm gonna question it.
Yeah.
So, if I was getting it from random people, I would be a mess all the time. Maybe I'm too paranoid for my own good, but just kind of one of those things. So.
Oh yeah, no, I delete, like, I get it because I'm listed on both our CNMC and PCI. And
Oh yeah.
I'll get requests for bids all the time, and I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Like,
yeah,
it's not the type of work we do anyway, so it's not really a big deal. But yeah.
Generally, if I feel like I need to open something, I'm doing it in a VM. I usually keep a VM spun up. That's sort of I call it like my triage VMs, because sometimes we're working with someone in a triage call or something like that, and I need to go open a file. And so I built one. I took a snapshot as soon as I built it, so that I know that it's clean. And then if I've got to open something like that up, right, I'll go throw it in there. I'll find a way to get it over there without logging into anything. Use a sharing link or something like that, and then open it up there and take a peek at it. Throw some analysis tools at it and things like that. I've definitely thrown some in like our sandbox and stuff like that before, because I don't know what you're sending me,
right.
and I don't want to mess with it. So,
the big takeaway from this whole thing is just be extra cautious this time of year.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we know attackers are going to pick up the pace. We talk about it every year. It's the holidays. People are taking vacation. They've got family visiting. They're distracted. And that's the time that they're going to try to take advantage. And then we're closed for Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, and we're not staffed.
Right.
We as general organizations.
Yeah. Well, even going back to a story you were telling before we started recording, Brad, it's like the example of there was a 3-day weekend and someone left a door propped open in a client building, and sure enough, they got robbed over the weekend. So it's like even paying attention to your physical controls, especially IT is sometimes the last ones out of the building. So maybe you can take that extra step and verify that all the doors are closed, or that the person leaving is like, yep, you're going to make sure that door's latched, right? Before you go away for that longer weekend, because they could be targeted as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And then just from the technical side too, just for all the folks that are managing things and doing security work or IT work, whatever, just keep an extra eye on your log files and things like that this time of year, right? If anything looks a little suspicious, get after it pretty quickly. We've definitely seen more of an uptick in smash and grab attacks, as well as just shorter dwell times. We did see one earlier this year. I think it's going to be mentioned in Oscar's state of security talk, but we saw one that went from basically a phishing email to a full ransom event in about 7 hours, and so that's really, really fast. And so be aware of these things, get on them quickly. Don't, kind of when in doubt, disable. Don't shut down a hospital or anything like that, please. Personal safety, human life first. But yeah, if you can do it safely, get on it, shut the accounts down, investigate, and then hope it's false positive.
Don't try to fix it yourself and then call IR Friday after.
Right.
Yeah. Give us a break too. Maybe call us on Wednesday. Don't wait till Friday evening and then call us. But yeah.
Just thinking too, I just thinking back to one of my past clients, especially if they have a small team where they know that monitoring, or there might even be an increase in alerts, might be harder this time of year. Would you ever recommend even just a short-term kind of SOC type engagement where they're getting some additional support, even if it was like just literally for the next 3 to 4 months, if their budget was small enough that they couldn't necessarily afford it year long? Or does it take too long
Yeah.
to set up like that?
There are some that can handle that pretty quickly, right? They've just got some good detection and filtering, right? Just for another set of eyes on it. If you can find one that does that, then yeah, absolutely. Some of the, and realistically, like I'm not bashing on anybody, right? But some are going to take a little longer to baseline and get understand your normal and that kind of thing, and that's great. I mean, that's good. That's how I prefer to do things. But yeah, if you can find one that can spin up quickly and just get another set of eyes on it over the holidays, it's a great idea, because there are plenty of organizations out there that do 24-hour monitoring through the holidays, everything like that. And yeah, if your budget allows for it, I know we've seen some that are kind of in that $5,000 a month range for that. So it's not super cheap, but they
cheaper than a breach.
It's just, it's a lot cheaper than a breach, and it's definitely cheaper than hiring somebody else, during that time,
right?
That kind of thing, and you're going to get pretty good service out of those folks.
I can say that one of my DCs just did that. They switched their endpoint. I heard them too, Megan. They switched their endpoint and went with a managed SOC. They already had a log aggregator that they were using, but they rolled out they're using Sentinel-1 and have the SOC up and running in getting alerts within 3 weeks of go date. Now, it was noisy and it was a lot of false positives, which are to be expected, but when we looked at them, it's the type of false positives that if it wasn't, you would want to know about, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and it is that kind of thing too, is right. Like, I'm always gonna, in those, particularly in a short-term engagement, I'm gonna want to err on the side of caution with those. I want more false positives. I don't want to tune out too many things. I want to make sure that I want to make sure everything's being monitored, right? Like, when you're requesting that service, ask them everything they're going to monitor for you, and then as they're setting it up, verify that they're getting that information, because we see that a lot too, where it's like, yeah, we'll monitor everything, and then there's a desktop agent, and that's it. And it's like, well, how are you monitoring my firewalls? Oh, well, we're not doing that. And it's, it's just part of the process of making sure you're asking about everything and pulling everything in together. And I do very much advocate for like that full holistic solution of, get desktop monitoring, get server monitoring, get firewall monitoring, VPN, all of that stuff, and pull it in, aggregate it. And then you can make some real decisions on, is this a false positive or is this not a false positive? There's nothing worse than getting into an IR and saying, oh yeah, we've got all this logging, and then we find out that you don't actually have that logging. That's I've been on many sad calls where that's been the case, and so don't let that be you. Ask the questions.
Good call. Well, I guess we better wrap it up here. My guinea pigs finally stopped singing over there. So we'll wrap it up with expressing gratitude. I'll give you a minute to think about it, Pinky. Brad, do you have one ready? Otherwise, I can go.
Yeah. I guess I'm just gratitude to my clients and to the team for being just understanding that my last couple of weeks have been chaotic and I've had to rearrange and reschedule a bunch of stuff. So just thanks to everybody who was flexible and let me dealing with all the travel and talking.
Yeah, I'm glad we could, because we really appreciate you doing that and being the person that's on the road so that other people don't have to. I thought I had mine, and then I started questioning myself. But no, I won't name them, but I really appreciate the the gentleman that I did get to walk around with the other day, just because honestly, I was having a pretty hard morning. It was one of those tough ones. And sometimes it does just take somebody to take a little time to talk with you and get you out of that mental struggle, right? And talk about something else and just show you some care and support. So appreciate him and the other people in my community around me.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna do two. Just making it happen. Because one, I definitely want to shout out my team, because this is always a tough part of the year for our team. Everyone's pretty burnt by the time January gets here, and so everybody's been doing a good job keeping caught up on things this year as we roll into the end of the year, and that's going to help a ton. So pretty pumped about that. And then also too, just general IT folks this time of year. Kind of like Megan was talking earlier, usually the last person out of the building for holidays, things like that. You're probably doing a migration on Thanksgiving. The turkey's going to get cold. It is what it is. But I appreciate everybody doing that. And yeah, and if, as always, if there's anything we can do to help, if something goes bump in the night, let us know.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for joining us, Pinky.
Yeah.
I believe this is our 249th episode we're recording, which means the next one will be 250th that Brad's been part of. I was trying to estimate how many I've been on, and I was guessing 30 to 40. Maybe I'll have to figure out before tomorrow when we're doing our official recording live at Hacks and Hops. But look forward to joining you and the others then. And thank you, Pinky, for joining us again. And I'm sure we'll have you back in another time.
Awesome. Yeah, anytime. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.